So my name is Kendi Alvarez, and I am the lead organizer for 1 Million Cup Susquehanna Valley. We have an amazing organizing team that helps to make all of this happen. We also have some fantastic sponsors that really invest a significant amount in us and this group and entrepreneurship throughout the Valley. That includes the Small Business Development Center, all three chambers of commerce, that's the Columbia Montour, the Central PA, and the Greater Susquehanna Valley. We've got companies like MediaStead and Mindset that really help to fuel all of this and keep us going. And so we thank them for all of their participation. Want to let you know that our next meeting will be on June 14th, and that will be at the Greater Susquehanna Valley Chamber of Commerce. That is at 2859 North Susquehanna Trail in Shamokin Dam. As always, if you can't make it in person, you're welcome to join us via Zoom, as we do have some people joining us today via Zoom. We are still looking for 2 presenters for our next meeting and 2 presenters each subsequent following month. So, keep those entrepreneurship calls to action going for entrepreneurs so that they get involved and engaged. Today, we do have 1 presenter, and then after that, I think we'll do an activity that we like to call espresso, which is where all of you get to talk a little bit about the businesses that you have, maybe mention one challenge that you're facing, and then the group can help to work on that. For those of you who weren't with us last month, these fun things are microphones, and they help to make sure that the people that are via Zoom can hear what it is that you're saying. So Steve, heads up. And that's how they work. So you toss the mic and someone else gets to speak. And so I'll spread these out now so that when Ayana is done, we will have an opportunity to ask her questions. And Len was her speaker coach, so he's going to come up and introduce Ayana.
Hello. Ayana sent me her bio, and it was very long, so I'm just going to give a brief synopsis of what I've gleaned from my communication with her over the past couple months. So Ayana learned to sew when she was 6 years old. She sold her first original garment at age 10. She's been dressing women for over 15 years. Ayana is a modest fashion consumer and designer. She'll explain more about that in her presentation. Her passion is elevating the modest fashion experience so women feel beautiful, comfortable, and heard, with unique styles that empower them and represent their values. She completed her undergrad degree at textile merchandising and design at Middle Tennessee State University. She went on to earn a master's degree in brand and business management with a concentration on industry fashion from Politecnico di Milano in Milan, Italy. She completed a design internship with fashion designer Zach Posen in Manhattan. She saw a need in the industry and decided to fill that need. I'll let Ayana tell the rest of the story.
Good morning, everyone. I am excited to be here. My name is Ayana Ife, and the brand that I am creating is a sustainable startup called Ayana Active. Our goal is to empower women with ethical and trendy modest sportswear, and we're made here in the United States. Clicker. There we go. So we want to boost self-confidence in underserved women, reflect their style and their values in their clothing, and offer them sustainable sportswear that helps them so that they don't have to layer excessively. We want to help women feel empowered in their clothing. We want to enhance self-confidence and allow them to live a health-conscious lifestyle. The problem that we solve is that modest fashion consumers have a difficult time shopping for clothing in the United States because modest fashion is an underrepresented market. women are feeling frumpy in their clothing because they're layering unnecessarily and they're using the wrong fabrics and also sizing up. And this hinders them from wanting to live a health conscious lifestyle. And so our goal is to empower our consumer with clothing that is fashion forward, but at the same time that is ethical and represents their values. And we're doing this with a size inclusive collection, which starts at a size extra small and goes to 5X. And the pieces are interchangeable, and there are 8 pieces in total, which can be styled separately or can be styled as a total look. The total look is really important because another important pain point for modest consumers is that they typically have to shop from different stores to be able to form a complete look. So this means you're mixing brands, mixing logos, mixing colors, and something so simple as matching blacks can be a real serious problem. So some features of the collection are lined mesh that doesn't expose the skin. So that means the pants have certain kind of linings, and the tops, there's no exposed skin in the line at all. We have extended length tops that cover the hips and the butt, as well as matching sets, as I mentioned, the total look options, which are extremely important. And then we have motivational messages to give the wearer a pep talk while they're wearing the clothing, and those messages are on the wrist, the ankles, and the knees, specifically for the wearer to see them when they're doing these activities. Also, we have a sustainability aspect for our brand, which means that our fabrics are eco-friendly and are created from recycled materials. A little bit about my background, even though Len already introduced me, and he did mention that my bio is long, so I'll keep this brief. I started sewing when I was really young, and at 13 I was offering made-to-measure looks for women in my community, and as I got older, women continued to approach me for help with their clothing because they liked how I was dressed. Comfortable, stylish, according to my values. I love innovating and finding creative solutions, and that's the whole purpose of the brand, to be able to fill a market need and do it in a way that is fashion forward and that speaks to the consumer herself. It's really important when it comes to modest fashion consumers that this be a brand that has longevity, that is not just a seasonal trend, and that's something that is very important to us when we're creating this brand. In 2017, I was a star on Project Runway, which is a TV reality show for fashion designers to compete for funding. So I was able to show a modest collection at New York Fashion Week, and I finished as runner-up on the show. And from that, I was able to get other opportunities to speak about the brand and to continue to build the brand. I finished as runner-up, but it still opened the doors for me in other ways. So some advantages of pioneering this modest category. One is that the vision. The product is based on my firsthand experience as a modest fashion consumer. We're building a strong team, and that's something I'm going to ask you a little about in the end. And we're taking a solution-based approach to being a category creator. We're launching our campaign in the form of a pre-order, which allows us to start bringing in some sales before we begin our production. And then we're also going to be launching in the form of a pop-up shop. The pop-up shop is important because we are primarily an e-commerce brand. And so as we offer these pop-up events, we'll allow customers to touch and feel the product. And we're also going to use our pop-up shops as opportunities to find product placement so that we can have a place in a retail market. In the retail market, as we mentioned, that we want to have longevity for the brand. Let's see. So our target customer are 3, actually. So the first one is women who wear modest clothing for a set of values. It can be religious, it doesn't have to be religious, but they have a set of values where they're going to cover regardless of whether they look cute or not. I want to help them look cute. So the second category is women that like the style and women that want the category. So they want the option to have something longer, even though they're comfortable wearing other garments as well. And then the last one is women who cover for either health, age, weight, protection from the sunlight, even safety-related reasons where women want to cover a little bit more than average. And then, so that's for our target. Now, some growth goals that we have. So far, we have hired our first seamstress, also fired our first seamstress, but that's a conversation for another day. Hired our first seamstress and 2 design interns. I was on WNEP for Small Business Week, as well as WVIA, Business Edition, Keystone Edition Business for a women's panel, just talking about the brand and trying to get more exposure for the brand. I've joined the Brooklyn Fashion Incubator, which is a business incubator in New York that has additional resources for the industry, and this is specific to finding product placement. So we've also retained our digital marketing agency that's going to help us promote the brand and tell our story the correct way. Right now, we're looking to hire an in-house manager and do our first product shoot and branding video, which is local. And then we're also looking to create our catalog. That's happening this year for retail buyers, as well as secure a space for our first pop-up event. Now, the pop-up event, the way that we choose the space is based off of some heat mapping that we've done. Thanks to the work of some Bucknell University students, they've done some heat mapping of the United States, so we have certain areas within certain cities that we would look to find our retail space in those areas. Regarding future goals, so we want to be able to offer two collections per year, two clothing collections per year for the sportswear. We want to be able to attend some trade shows and conferences, trade shows that are specific to Made in the USA and also for eco clothing, as well as show our collection at New York Fashion Week again. Well, we haven't shown the sportswear yet. I've shown as a designer. Now I want to come back as an established brand sportswear and more targeted. So we also, as a long-term goal, want to launch additional categories like swim and other areas so that we're covering more parts of the market. And then as another long-term goal, we want to be able to distribute our product across over 300 retail spaces in the United States. And we see global expansion, celebrity partnerships, and opportunities to just continue to optimize and grow. Current challenges. So raising capital. So far, we have raised $50,000 in $50,000 for the brand through Ben Franklin Technology Partners, and we are constantly looking for other opportunities to raise capital so that by the time we launch the brand, we can launch with enough, what you could say, like traction and enough product so that we don't just sell out. We want to be able to have enough to saturate the market. Building a team, this one has also been really tricky because my history, as Len mentioned, I've been sewing for women for over 15 years now, and that has primarily been custom garments. So I see you, I take your measurements, I make something specific for you. So my skill is there, my talent is there, but in terms of growing a team and working with people and meshing personalities and, you know, giving that story to other people, that's something that I'm still working on and I'm still growing into. As far as the storytelling side, that's put up here as being extremely important for the reasons that I'm going to tell you now. So we want our storytelling, and this is our video campaign and mostly the video campaign and how we put ourselves out there. We want that to be engaging enough so that people want to share our content, but we want to show that we're actually more than a brand, that we are advocating to broaden awareness for the clothing category, and that we want it to be powerful yet educational. So not just for the end user, but for the industry as a whole. And so we want to set the standard of how modest consumers want to be seen, represented, and most importantly, spoken to. So that being said, I would love to hear your valuable feedback. Thank you. Aiden.
Oh, good.
Okay.
You have the mic, go for it. Pick up the mic. How big is your company now?
When you say how big, what can you define what you mean? How many people?
Yeah.
Right now, it's me, as far as in-house, me and 2 interns. As far as contract work, I have a website designer, a woman that's doing our an agency that's doing our marketing, and then I hire out models whenever I need to do a shoot or things like that. So most of the help that we get is like outsourced. Okay. As far as our in-house team, the main thing that I'm looking for right now is, I have it here, an operations and project manager. That is But as far as in-house, 3 people.
And do you have a marketing strategy, a written strategy?
Yes.
Emma, catch.
Hi, it's absolutely amazing. It's just so thrilling that you're in this part of the world, and I think that
Thank you.
you're so fashion forward. It's just, I can't wait to work with you in the future. I was just curious about logistics. So how does consumer get your product? Is it made here in PA and then it's shipped by you, or is it made somewhere else? So I was just curious to see what the logistics process was for getting to
Right.
consumer.
Okay, that's a great question. So it is made, some pieces are made here in Pennsylvania, some are made in New York City. And then those would be shipped from our e-commerce side, those would be shipped from us here in Pennsylvania out to our consumer. So that's the main way that we've been looking at doing this. Now that we've joined the Brooklyn Fashion Incubator, we're in conversations about being able to get our product in retail spaces automatically. So that would be sent from the warehouse to them.
So efficiencies, starting
Right.
to think about efficiencies.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, excellent.
Just a note, if you had the mic, get the whole.
Oh, I was gonna showcase how to utilize the mic. But I had a question. As I was hearing you talk, I was thinking about a lot of athletic brands that exist already that don't necessarily have your types of products. And have you looked into establishing your brand and then doing some sort of creative collaboration where you don't have to worry about the distribution, the sales, but you get to design and then you get credit that way?
Yes, I've thought about it. I would love opportunities to be able to collaborate with larger retail spaces. If you know of any, please send them my way. I would love an opportunity like that. I have noticed, just based on research that I've done about the industry and what's out there and what's available, the brands that are offering Modest are collaborating with influencers. So Modest fashion influencers and people that have a lot of reach. So I do see that as being something we could do in the future, and we're definitely keeping our eyes open for that.
Get to catch my own. We do have a comment, Jason. Have you considered identifying celebrities and influencers to champion your brand?
I have, Jason. Thank you for that question. We have a list of influencers and/or celebrities that we would like to work with. Some of whom we've reached out to. So it's more so a matter of when we're ready, then we say, okay, hey, we're ready to go. And we haven't had the specifics, the conversation about how the specifics would go. Like, am I paying them? Am I just sending them free product? We haven't gotten that far, but we have put some feelers out. So we do have a list of people that we would like to work with.
Just a follow-up on that. I just was thinking it may be a better way to reach out than the pop-up stores, in terms of the logistics and the expense of doing a pop-up store in the early stages. Finding people that live in those communities that you targeted for pop-ups to represent your brand in advance of a pop-up or in place of a pop-up.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think a little bit of that and a little bit of the other, just kind of combining it could probably be a good idea. With regard to the pop-up, the thought for that was that if we're going into spaces where we've done our heat mapping, right, we've done our research, so we know that this customer is here and maybe they're not being catered to in that space, perhaps the retailer may even be incentivized to be able to host us. So that's kind of the thought process of the lean approach. So.
Okay, I'll go again.
Okay.
So, talk to us about the team stuff you want to talk to us about.
Yes. Okay, so I've got some jargon here. Okay, so the ideal team consists of myself, the fashion designer, the entrepreneur, and I guess you could say the visionary. My goal is to create a team where I get to be the designer. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you the last time I sewed. So the team would consist of the operations manager, the marketing expert, which is outsourced, which we already have, 2 order processors, a communications intern or part-time freelancer, then our manufacturing, which we have, our material suppliers, which we have most of, and then, of course, the advisors, so our mentors, former professors, industry experts. Now, the one that is most crucial right now is actually the operations manager, and that would be someone who is in-house. They would oversee production, logistics, product fulfillment, manufacturing and merchandise, and order fulfillment. They would pretty much like lead the flow of the creative development, I guess you could say across like different platforms. And they would kind of oversee like resource management and like the workflow kind of the company. But I would need them to understand certain terminologies because we're still getting started. I would need them to understand like what a tech pack is and like what certain like technical terminology is so that they can speak to those things. So that's where it gets a little bit tricky because they would need to be a little specialized.
Yeah.
And it could be something, since we are a startup, we want to be able to pay them really well. So it could be something where it's done on like a part-time basis, but they do good work for a short amount of time and then they're kind of coming and going. So that's the thought on that.
So I was thinking about, you said you hired and fired already, which, we've all been there. So I'm curious to know, without getting into like the nitty gritty,
Right.
is there something on your end as a company that you have looked back and thought, what role did I play in onboarding the right person? Is there something there for you that you've reflected back on or something you would have changed?
That's a good question. So when I hired her, when you work with a seamstress, when you bring them in, you do a sew test. It's like a standard thing. So if they can sew well in their sew test, then they can sew. So when she came in, it wasn't a great sew test. So we had a conversation of, could we do a trial together and kind of see? So it was more so like our trial was up and we didn't keep her, but I liked her. So it was kind of a sad thing. I hate to let go of someone that's really cool in the space, but she just doesn't have the skill set, and I'm kind of teaching her, which I don't have time to. So that's kind of how it was. But I agree. I think in the future, what I would do is do a shorter trial. Yeah, maybe not for a full month, maybe just a 2-week, that kind of thing. So.
Hey, Anna. We met briefly at the Million Cups Danville, and I admitted to you, like, I knew next to zero about your world, and you obviously have you've been doing this for a long time, you have a really well thought out plan and stuff. But you gave me the 15-second elevator pitch. I in turn turned around and gave that to the women that are close to me, my wife, my sister, my niece who lives in Lancaster, who this would, and it went like, but they all loved it. I mean, I just showed them the pictures, they all totally got it right off the bat. This feels to me like something that can go from 0 to 100 very quick. And, I don't know if I have any real plans, but I would say a lot of times people like to build in steps, right? Why don't you, maybe you should consider, let's skip some of those early steps. Let's go from 0, instead of going from 0 to 25 to 50 to 75 to 100, it seems to me like you're almost planning to go from 0 to 100 now. So that's my advice to you is like, let's try to skip some of the, some of the stuff, and just take it big right off the bat. So
Okay.
I just have positive words of encouragement for you. Really,
Okay.
really,
Thank you.
it's everybody I've ever shown it to, the women in my life, they love the design. It looks great. I mean, I get it myself.
Yeah, I think that's probably something that I do need to hear. Denny tells me that all the time. I know that my skill is there and my design is there, and that's something I've honed and crafted for several years. The business side is something that I wanted to get a little bit more information, which is why I went back to school for business. And then the idea for launching with this kind of like not careful method, but like very planned out, is because we just want to mitigate as much risk, as we can in the very beginning. But Denny is always saying, listen here, just let's go. So yeah.
Can't believe that.
All the time he's like, let's just go,
He's so conservative.
Not with me.
I was just curious about angel funding or VC funding. Have you looked into? There's so many spaces for, women and especially in such a specialized field. I think that angel funding or VC funding would be something that would, I think what you've got here, other people want, other people see this, and I think, would you be open to something like that and to
yeah.
give away some of the business?
Yes, absolutely, yes, I'm open. Please send them my way. Yes, yes, yes.
The one thing you had in one of your slides, you said, we got to talk about our story, and that is so important. It really is. I mean, the 15-second elevator pitch was like, just look at these designs. Look at how this person looks, and my niece, she covers, so she was really excited.
That's awesome. Okay, thank you for that.
So what is your current process for hiring people? If you're looking for an operation manager, like what are you doing to get that operation manager?
That's a really good question. As of right now, I have not started looking for an operations manager. However, after I did the NEP, for the Small Business Week, when they came through our offices, I got 2 requests. So I'm meeting with people this week that have some experience with, like, one was working at Off-Saks Fifth Avenue for a while. The other one is with Lord & Taylor. So they have some industry knowledge. So I'm meeting both of them this week. Do you have any suggestions?
I have a few, but I won't take up the time. I'll talk to you after.
Sounds great.
Yeah, I would say that one of the other things is recognize the resources that exist around you. Like, you may not have a whole lot of experience with regards to hiring and interviewing, but I can guarantee you that the collective have a significant amount of experience. And if you need some help with, like, okay, what are the questions that I should ask of someone in this position to know? Or is there someone who has the capacity to sit in with me on an interview and help me through this process?
Good idea. Okay.
Well, Natalie, I'm going to share. I'm going to pitch it back to you to share too. Oh, here, go for it. Yep.
All right, I tend to be a little bit quieter spoken until I start talking, so that's why I kind of just sat back here with the mic until someone noticed me. So a couple quick thoughts on personnel. I definitely think that starting out, the fractional chief operating officer is probably a good role, with the opportunity to grow into a full-time position. The other thing that I always think with that type of role, when you have someone who has a lot of experience in the field and starting out in a business, is make sure that their role is very defined.
Okay.
So that they don't overrun their position.
Okay.
Because sometimes an operations manager can become a bull in a china shop.
Okay.
And you want to make sure that they're adhering to your vision, and that they're not driving you with just their,
Okay.
I know what I'm doing, listen to me. So just make sure it's very defined when they come into position.
Okay.
The second thing, thinking from a seamstress point of view, have you looked any in the plain community around Danville?
Which kind of community?
The Amish and Mennonite community.
I have, actually. I
Okay.
have one that I'm going to be doing a trial with probably the ending of this month or early next month. The only thing is that she works from home, and I'm trying to have someone that would be willing to come to the studio at least twice a week. It doesn't have to be every day.
Okay.
And the seamstress role is just good to have someone who is capable of doing some samples. That's pretty much what the role is for. So.
And if with that community, I'm pretty well involved in that community.
Okay.
So if you need any contacts in there,
I would definitely, yeah.
we'll talk offline.
Okay, I would definitely like some contacts, yes. Thank you.
Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
I definitely think you're going against the grain, and I really appreciate that. I know my wife would go crazy for this kind of stuff, so I'm definitely going to mention it to her.
Awesome.
I would encourage you to use your customers to help you sell. So you mentioned the pop-up, which can be a hope and wait. Maybe do in-house parties, so you have like those loyal customers already, and then they can invite their friends, their family, people with the same mindset to help you with sales. And also, when it comes to storytelling, we love when our customers, our members, help us tell our story. So getting them on camera saying, this makes me feel confident, I can perform better, I can do better things, definitely use them to your advantage. And one other thing with the swim aspect, no expert in swimming, but I notice people are wearing more when they're swimming on a performance level, like the Olympics, upper level swimming. It's just become a thing to be like in a full body suit. So definitely pursue that as well.
Okay, thank you. That's good to hear.
I'm just going to add on. So there's great advice on, like the idea of the operations manager and be very clear about the role. I think in addition to that, because I think that's really important, is building your cultural guide for the people that you're hiring. And, a cultural guide can be, you have a lot of it in your presentation already, right? The things that you really stand for, your vision, your mission, the work you do every day, but then putting that into the hiring process, right? Even physically just give it to them, right? Because I think a lot of times, like the things you're really looking for in a hire sometimes seem to be like the things that are hard to talk about, right? And so if you can put them in writing, actually give them a copy, and then they can read it. And I think that really helps people kind of understand who is Ayanna, and then more importantly, like what's the culture? Is that really near and dear to me to be part of that? And I could offer some more, but like for instance, the format could be, this is who we are, and this is who we're not, right? Because then people can really clearly see, and you can cover things like, here's how we communicate, here's how we meet, here's how we talk to each other, right? And you can put those things in place so that then you can go back and say, well, you signed on, like, let's work on these things, right? Because maybe we're talking to each other in a way that's not right for us. So anyway, I can help you more with that. But
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. That's great.
I have a comment. And I saved it because I really didn't want to influence the conversation as we go forward, but I'm a huge fan of Ayanna, and I know that she has some amazing insight into this world, and I'm not disappointed in this community either, because I told her when we talked about 1 million cups and how can we help her, is just what you just did today. And I think this is really inspiring, and as a group of entrepreneurs that come together and empower other entrepreneurs, that's what this is all about. And so I know that amazing things are going to happen, and we're witnessing it today. And not just with Ayanna, but with each and every one of you, how we build a stronger community and great things happen here. So I just wish everyone the best, and I'm just excited to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Very good. I'm gonna follow. You kept asking, so I just have a question. When is your goal for launch?
Early next year.
Early next
So,
year.
it's called spring summer. So the collections are done in 2 seasons: fall, winter, spring, summer. So spring, summer 2024.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say, I too, being a professional, it's very hard to find clothes. And in young girls, I have nieces that my single brother had a hard time trying to find clothes that have words on their behind. You don't want to attract people looking at your teenage daughter's behind. So the fact that you're going to have something that is able to build people up and also, make their parents and everyone involved feel, more comfortable. But as for a business, it's all about connections. And I can just say from the Central PA Chamber standpoint, in my mind already, we have 2 manufacturers that do sewing and materials and fabrics, and there's connections to be had there. There's organizations that build up young ladies that are members of the chamber that would be a key opportunity to work if you needed, input from youngsters or parents, or, just if you can get your name out there with various opportunities like those. Those partnerships are invaluable. And it's a family opportunity to be a part of such an organization. So we've had reached out in the past, and feel free if you have any questions. My whole team is here, and there's just a lot of connections to be had that can make your job so much easier and let you focus on what you want to do and take off all those other pressures of the business side that are kind of probably clouding what you really want to pursue. pursue.
That's correct, and I would love to come chat with you afterwards. So thank you.
Hey, Ayanna.
Hi.
Congrats on everything. Business looks great.
Thank you.
I suppose my perspective is from marketing. So like Mark and a couple of others had said, you're building a culture. It's not a brand. It's not a community. You're trying to build a movement, or at least capitalize on a movement that's up and coming. So you can kind of, ride that crest of a wave. So I think you mentioned a lot about the influencers, which is of course going to be in this day and age, the auto go-to. I think to create that movement, you'll also need to probably look at other aspects of marketing, a lot of advertising, content creation and curation, thinking a lot about how you can create that kind of viral swirl around the brand. So I like the idea about the pop-ups, and it's how you market those. There's a brand I came across recently because I'm in, one of my businesses is in the wristwatch market, and there's a brand, it's a British brand, but they've started to do this kind of competition thing where they give hints as to where they're located. So he travels around the States, giving the hints on social, and he's got like a timer of, people can find him, and when they find him, they get free stuff. So just little things like that to create, so kind of hitting the market from multiple sides. So you've got your influencers, you've got a lot of advertising, social media, content, viral kind of swirl with those events and pop-ups. You can sort of be creative with those as well, I think. But it's in terms of the brand, it's a great brand to do all of that stuff with, I think. So
Okay.
keep
Thank
it going.
you. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. That was super helpful, and I'll make my rounds after. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is great.
So, for participating in 1 million cups, you get a fancy 1 million cup. Oh, this way? Oh, sorry. No, Mark wants us in the picture.
Oh,
Yeah.
Can you do it on my phone as well? Do I get to hold it too?
Yeah, you get to